Alright guys, in this video I want to talk about you. I want to talk about how and why you're going to start your investing career. You have to know your why in order to get to your how. And this video is all about providing you inspiration and motivation to get started and to continue and not give up along your journey. It's important to realize that you're going to have a whole bunch of trials and tribulations along the way, and whether you want to admit it or not, no matter how good of a trader you are, you will lose money at some point in time. You are not going to just continue to make money over and over and over without taking that ultimate L once in a while. So you need to get that in your head that you will lose money, and depending on how big that loss is, can ultimately decide your journey, whether it continues or it stops right where it's at. So it's important for you to realize why you are investing in the first place. And once you really realize why, then you're going to get to your how. And your how is going to depend on your reasons, and it's going to dictate your style. It's going to dictate the trades that you make. It's going to dictate whether you invest in ETFs or equities or Forex. It's going to dictate all that. So before we get down and get started investing, we need to get to the motivation and help you figure out why. So first, I'm going to start off by telling you my why. I was born and I was put into foster care, and I was eventually adopted. When I was adopted by a blue-collar family. And my adopted dad, who ended up passing away at 97, worked nearly to the day that he died. He died poor. He died with no money. And that was the trajectory that my life was going to be on. Still to this day, I wake up and I go to work. I'm working 10 hours a day. But eventually, that's going to come to an end. I realized the only way for me to be financially free is to be able to take my money and put my money to work instead of leaving it sit in the bank and only paying bills with it and then running out of money and having to do that grind all over again. I put my money to work. So when my money's working and I'm working, now I'm making double the money. And that's exactly what you have to do. You got to think of every single dollar that you make as a worker. You got to think of the stock market as your business. You are an entrepreneur. So when you put $1 out there to work, you want that dollar to make money. You want a return off of that dollar the same way you would expect a worker, if you were to hire them to go to work. They're making you money and you're going to give them a cut out of that money, but you're going to profit off of their sweat and their labor. And that's exactly what you want to do with every single dollar extra that you have at the end of the week, at the end of the month, or at the end of every 2 months or quarterly. It doesn't matter. You have to take your extra money and bypass buying the nicest clothes, the nicest shoes, and put that money to work. If you suffer now, then you're going to profit more in the future, and you'll come to realize that the decisions you make now are going to essentially change the whole entire trajectory of your life. So over the past few years, there's been articles after article after article going over these kids that are becoming rich. They're making millions in the stock market and off of crypto. So what is it? Why do they know how to do that, but you don't? There's 13 and 14 and 15-year-old kids that are literally making more money in a year than you are making in your entire lifetime. Do they know something that we don't know? No, they don't. They took the time to learn, they took the time to study, and more importantly, they started. They got started. They didn't keep pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off like you possibly are right now, and like I did until I was in my late 20s. So now I'm playing catch up, and there's a good chance that I might not ever catch them because of compounding. But I'm going to try like hell to do it, and I hope you start right now. And I don't care how old you are right now when you're watching this video. You need to put it in your head that you're going to start yesterday. You're going to get started right now. But it isn't going to be easy. You're going to be up early watching the news. You're going to start paying attention to the world news, because anything that happens overseas, it's going to have an effect on our stock market here in the United States. Just like, for instance, the Ukraine-Russian war. That plays a huge part on our stock market, especially with the oil futures. So you're going to have to start paying attention to anything that happens, any conflict, anything that happens. You got to start watching the news. You got to get up early. You got to see what company is releasing news. They might release it pre-market. They might release it at market open. They might release it in the middle of the day. It doesn't matter when they release it, but you have to be ready to get that news. You have to divulge that news, and you have to possibly act on that news. The first come, first serve, and that's how it's always going to go, and that's how it's always been since the beginning of time. Now back to the kids that are making all this money in the stock market. I have a theory on that. When you're that young, your mind hasn't been trained to take your money, work your 9 to 5, and put it in the bank and leave it in the bank and save for a rainy day. That's how we are trained. Them kids, these kids today, they're not trained that way. There's no financial courses in school, so they're risk takers. So they take their money and they put it into crypto, or they put it into stocks, and they let it go, and they watch it grow. Now you and me, we take that money because we were trained and taught to take that money to put it in the bank and collect the interest off it. But the interest ain't shit. The interest can't even come close to even walking in inflation's shadow. We are literally losing money by keeping our money in the bank. We have to deploy that money as soldiers, as workers, to go out there and make us more money. That money has to work. What's the point of having that money in the bank if you're getting paid, $10 a year if you're lucky to have that money in the bank? Because the bank is using your money to make itself more money by lending it out at 8%, 9%, 10% interest rate to other bankers. You need to take that money and you need to get those returns for yourself. Put that money to work. Use your brokerage account as your savings account. Now, I'm not saying be reckless and gamble your life savings away. What I'm saying is be careful and invest that money in such a way that you're going to make money back off of that money. A lot more than the interest payments that you're going to get in your bank account. So now, to end this video, I'm just going to say that over the past 100 years, on average, the S&P 500 has produced an average of a 10% return a year. Now, some years are more and some years are less, but on an average over 100 years, the S&P has returned 10%. Now that even beats inflation. So now ask yourself, why would you not start investing? Alright guys, thanks for watching. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Check out our other videos. Turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our new videos. And until the next time, we'll see you later.